all across America and around the world. This is Veterans Radio. This is Veterans Radio.
Welcome to Veterans Radio. I am Jim Fausone. I'm the officer of the deck today. We've got some great programs for you. I think you'll find very interesting. We always want to remind you can find more about Veterans Radio at its Facebook site or by going to veteransradio.net, where we're on the web 24/7. You can find a lot of our podcasts there as well. We post new ones every Tuesday, so you can get a new story, a new interview, something you didn't know before by going to veteransradio.net. And before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors. First up, we want to thank National Veteran Business Development Council, nvbdc.org. It was established to certify both service-disabled and veteran-owned businesses. You'll find out how they can help your business by going to nvbdc.org. We want to thank Legal Help for Veterans. Legal Help for Veterans fights for veterans' disability rights all across the nation. You can reach them at 800-693-4800 or on the web at legalhelpforveterans.com. We also want to thank our latest national sponsor, Veteran Lending Council. It is a community dedicated to educating lenders, realtors, and veterans on the VA Home Loan Benefit Program. You can check them out on Facebook and other social media outlets. We want to welcome to Veterans Radio today Brett Fennelly. Brett is a Michigan Army National Guard veteran, but I've got him on for his civilian expertise in the insurance area. Brett, welcome to Veterans Radio.
Thanks, Jim. Happy to be here.
Well, let's start with this. How did a nice guy who's, behaving himself and not getting in too much trouble end up spending 6 years in the Michigan Army National Guard?
That's kind of part of it. Part of it is a little goofing around, not going to college and not, doing the right things to start. And then I thought, I gotta figure my life out. And my buddy had joined the National Guard, and I thought, that sounds like the right path for me as well. So I think I'll try it out and see how it works out.
Well, and it did work out. As I said, you spent 6 years in the Guard, rose to the rank of sergeant, and Uncle Sam was kind enough to send you over to a overseas deployment in 2010. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I did convoy security with the 119th out of Battle Creek and where's it? Augusta, I guess. We did convoy security, went from Virginia into Camp Adder over in Iraq. So spent a couple days there, and then I come back following a couple days later. They'd send us back, and we'd pick up new trucks and bring them back.
So this was bouncing between Kuwait and Iraq, I take it?
Yes. Yep.
And how long did you spend over there?
We were there. It was a year. I was on deployment for a year. I think we were in Iraq for the 9 months or whatever it is after MOB. 10 months. Yeah,
and everybody says, "Oh, that was fun. I don't ever want to do that again."
I enjoyed it. I actually volunteered to go again to Afghanistan, but they cut the mission short, so no worries. But I actually really enjoyed deployment. So.
And after that point in time, you came back and picked up your bachelor's in business administration from Eastern Michigan University, and you also worked in private security for a while.
I did, yeah. I was a private security officer for the Ann Arbor EPA over in the north side of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I was their lead officer, they call it. It's kind of like the head of security-ish. You run the day-to-day operations, monitor the security guards. And then in 2017, I left there, went back, and I ended up graduating from Eastern in 2019 with my bachelor's in business administration.
And you transitioned into insurance with Farm Bureau Insurance. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
I was looking for I wanted to go into sales, and I like helping people. So I kind of just decided, this would be a good avenue for me to get to that helping people. And it's something it's Farm Bureau is a company where we sit down and talk to people rather than some of your larger corporations that do insurance. We like to have that personal interaction with each client. So I kind of like that, and I can teach people about insurance. I get opportunities like this to sit down and talk to lots of people on the radio and wherever else this will be posted at. And I can inform people of their best options and help them through the small or finer details of insurance that not a lot of people recognize or get into all that often.
Well, many of us know we should have life insurance and don't do anything. We are not properly insured, and we don't find out until it's too late. And I'm going to give you a chance to talk about that a little bit. But what caught my eye a month or so ago is that VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, is going to have a new life insurance policy for veterans, and it's called VA Life, and it's going to come about, it's not open for enrollment yet, as I understand it. It comes about January 1st of 2023. But it triggered for me this whole idea that we as veterans had some insurance when we were in service. Some of it we paid for and let lapse. Some of it covered us if certain things happened. But here was a new opportunity to maybe get some hopefully appropriate low-cost insurance. But let's back up again. What do you tell folks, Brett, when they come in and sit down with you at the Fennelly Insurance Group in Ann Arbor and say, I don't know if I don't really know if I need life insurance? That's probably how the conversation starts.
Most of the time, yes. So the first thing we talk about is, do you have children? Do you have someone that relies on you? It doesn't have to be children. It could be a niece or a nephew, or it could be a godchild or a grandchild. Is there someone that's going to rely on you, and there's going to be trouble if you're gone early? And almost always, unless they're a single person whose parents are no longer around, they're literally the only one they know in their family, and they don't have any kids. They're almost always saying, "Oh yeah, absolutely, my son, my daughter, my nephew, my grandchild, my godson. I'm expecting to send them to college, or I'm expecting." I'm their parent, so I'm taking care of them every day. So if I wasn't there, someone else would have to. And then we go into, well, what are you leaving behind for them? Well, my house. I said, oh, do you own your home? No. I said, well, how much do you own your house? Oh, we just bought it a couple of years ago. So I said, you probably owe almost the whole loan, right? So your house isn't an asset; it's a liability. That you don't own the home, so you might be able to sell it for a small profit, but it's not enough for them to live on. So we go into it's those questions that people don't really think about. They think, oh, I own my car. I say, well, do you own it outright, or do you have a loan? Well,
you own it with the bank.
Yeah. So it's that's a lot of people, there's that confusion or that disconnect. They say, oh, I own my home. I say, you own your home when you don't have a loan on it. You're not renting. You're correct, but you don't own the home yet because you're still paying the bank for it. So that's not going to be something that's going to be there for your children to take care of or take advantage of that money from you selling your house. So we talk about those different little things, and then we start to get to the point of, okay, maybe life insurance is a good play for you right now. And then we go over the different options, the different levels, the different medical that's involved with getting life insurance, and then they make an informed decision from there.
And again, this is why you talk to professionals. It can get kind of confusing. We folks don't deal with it every day, so you start throwing terms around that geez, I'm not sure I know exactly what that means, and that's why you talk to somebody who's an expert, and that's why we're talking to Brett. So, as I said, we saw a new VA benefit that was going to come about at the end of the year called Veterans Affairs Life Insurance, or VA Life. And we thought it was pretty interesting because it'll be open to all veterans 80 years or younger who have a disability rating of 0 to 100%. So again, when you talk life insurance, you're often talking about having to have a medical exam done. But if you're if you have a disability rating, you're not going to do so good on the medical exam. So I know you've looked at this some. Tell us what you've been able to determine that this new VA life insurance benefit is going to be about.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my side of this, I would call this end of life planning policy, because it's only going to be $10,000 to $40,000. So 10 to 40,000 isn't going to send your kids to college, but it can take care of your end of life expenses. So your funeral, your burial plot, or whatever your plans are for after you pass away. So that is great. It's like I said, your family's not going to, survive off of this, but they're also not going to be in debt after you pass away, which is a great level of life insurance to have. It's affordable, and it's guaranteed acceptance, like you were saying. So there's no medical, there's no background. It's just, you pay your premium, you're going to come in at a specific age, and that's going to be a whole life policy. So that policy is not going to get more expensive every year. It's just going to stay the same. So I think I want to say it's $11 if you were 18 years old and you got $10,000 of whole life insurance. It was $11 a month, and that's $11 a month for the rest of your life. So it's a good policy, and like I said, it's an end of life policy.
So let's talk about, you use the term whole life. For those of us who don't work in the field every day, explain what whole life is versus, say, term.
So term life insurance is going to have a set start and set end date. So if you have a 10-year term from today, you'd have from, what's today, the 17th, let's say it's the 17th of July, 2022, and we're going to go 10-year term. So you're going to have 17th of July, 2032, that policy will end. And you won't retain any value from it after it expires, but you'll have the life benefit during those 10 years. And then there's also 20 and 30 and there's all different kinds of term lengths. But term life insurance essentially means it starts the day that the policy starts and it ends at a specific date in the future. Whole life insurance is going to mean, and the rates don't change for term either. So those stay the same. The monthly is always the same. It never goes up as you get older. Whole life insurance, same thing. Rates don't change over time. They stay the same as they were the day one. And whole life insurance means that it starts on the day the policy starts, and the end date is when you pass away. So that's your entire life is encompassed in that policy. It will never cancel, it will never end unless the premiums aren't paid.
See, you'd expect an Army guy to be able to talk plain English, and he does. So that's when I reached out and said, I need a veteran to talk about this who's in the insurance business, that I was directed to Brett. Brett, thanks. That explains whole life and term, and I think we all get it. Is it your experience by looking at VA Life, this end-of-life kind of policy, that's going to come available at the beginning of January 2023? I would expect the premiums to be fair, good, maybe even better than market rates if the government's offering it, if the VA is offering it. But I guess I want to check my assumptions. Do you have a reaction to that?
They are who they're offering them for. So they're for disabled individuals, people that have some type of disability through the VA. They aren't bad. I know with Farm Bureau, the whole life that I sell is or term life insurance and whole life insurance I sell. I don't go down to 40, but if you were to do a 40, it would probably be pretty close to that, depending on how old you are, obviously. The rates change every 5 or so years as you get older, and with regard to when you start the policy. So if you're 20, the rates are going to be lower than if you start when you're 30. But they're pretty comparable. I would say the private sector's probably got a win on that side, just because they're more honed in on the actual life insurance. So they're checking ratings. They're moving their field goal posts, as we like to say, kind of. They're moving the goal every once in a while to fit what clients are actually coming to them with. So if they're having less claims or more claims, the rates will change a little bit.
As we said
as we
said a minute ago, here there's no medical exam, so those nervous about hey, I may not be able to qualify in the private sector because of my issues, this gives you an option that takes that away. But let me ask you this. In the insurance world, can I stack policies? So, yeah, hey, I'm finally getting into some planning, and $40,000 doesn't cover a lot, but it's a good thing to have. And maybe I ought to put something on top of that will now help me, put the grandson to college or buy his first house. Are you allowed to stack insurance policies?
Absolutely. So I myself have VGLI because I got it through the VA. I got it right when I transitioned from a Soldiers Group Life Insurance to the Veterans Group Life Insurance. So that, I would say, I wanted to point that out actually as we were talking, that if you are currently in and you're transitioning out soon, make sure you get that VGLI started right away when I think it's the first 240 days you have after you get out to do non-medical automatic enrollment in Veterans Group Life Insurance.
Let's stop there and really hit that drum hard, because when you're in the service, you've got some service group life insurance available to you.
Yes. Yep.
You also, you may not realize it, have some traumatic injury protection, TSGLI insurance, should you have that kind of injury. Mm-hmm. But you have this ability as you get out of service to transition to Veterans Group Life Insurance, and they bring you right on over, and that's pretty good insurance too at a good rate. And as you say, it's sort of the base on which you're stacking other things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an exceptional. I think theirs is group life insurance, so you're grouped by age bracket, and it's every 5 years. And I'm pretty open with mine. I talk about it with my clients all the time. I have a $400,000 option through them, and it's like $440 a year, I think, which is phenomenal coverage for $440. And then on top of that, I stack through Farm Bureau. I have some term life insurance. I have whole life insurance on myself, but my children have whole life policies, and my wife as well. So you can really stack as many policies as you want through multiple different agencies.
So we talked about Servicemembers Group Life Insurance. We've talked about Veterans Group Life Insurance. That Veterans Group Life Insurance you have to apply for within 1 year and 120 days of leaving service, as Brett mentioned. There's also, which I didn't know until I started doing some research, that there's a service-disabled veterans life insurance for veterans of any level of service-connected disability ratings, but you have to apply for that within 2 years of getting rated. I didn't know that. So we want to point that out to our veteran radio listeners. Brett Fennelly, do you know anything about this service-disabled veterans life insurance program?
I do. It's a $10,000 of coverage. So that's going to offer you $10,000 of coverage, which I'm pretty sure, like I said, I haven't dug too deeply into both of these. I think you can stack all three of these things together, unless the VA. There was some talk about the VA life taking over some of these other ones, and they'd phase out the old products and just do the VA life. But as of right now, with this policy, you can do the 10,000, and then you had asked me when we spoke earlier about if rating changes would affect any of the value. It won't, because the max is 10,000. So if you're eligible to get this policy, it doesn't matter if it goes up or down. The ratings don't change your eligibility.
Well, that's good to know, because people do sometimes start at 0% and then 10 and then 30 and then 70 if things are going the wrong way. Your rating's going up if your disability is going up, and we all wish we didn't have to have any rating. We wish we didn't have the disability. So it's an interesting set of options, VA life insurance options that people don't know a lot about. If they want to know more about this, somewhere I had and maybe you have it in front of you, Brett. What's the VA website for this?
VA.gov/insurance, I believe is the correct.
And the one I have in front of me, which might be slightly different, is va.gov/life-insurance. So I think that hyphen probably plays into this. So, and you can go there and check out the different types of insurance and if you're eligible for them, and they've got a frequently asked questions thing and all of that, which you would expect. Brett, what you this is reaching back in your memory somewhere, because you undoubtedly know this number, but it's not on the tip of your tongue maybe. What percentage of people, adults, actually carry life insurance?
It's a lot lower than you'd expect it to be. The number I've heard, and this is not including people that have group life insurance through their jobs, because a lot of people have, I have life insurance at work is what they'll tell me. And then my first question to them is always, well, do you take it with you if you retire or if you quit? And then they always say, well, I don't know. Well, the majority of it is no, because it's a group life insurance. So you're only eligible as long as you're a member of the group. I want to say it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40% is the number I've seen in the past, which is good, which is a high number, higher than some might think, but much lower than when you start to think about how many that other 60+ percent that don't have it, and really do need it, even if it is just, like I said, end of life planning, so that you're not leaving a debt behind for your family.
Yeah, if it does nothing more than cover funeral expenses, you're ahead of the game. Your family's not using up their money or their assets and your estate, if you have leaving a little something behind, isn't getting chewed up by paying for the funeral. And we as veterans know we have a lot of funeral benefits, burial benefits, because of our service at national cemeteries and at private cemeteries as well, with military funerals and all that. But there's still a cost to all this. So it really makes a lot of sense to do some planning. Think about what sort of life insurance options you should maybe have for whether you want to call it end of life. But then, as our expert here, Army Sergeant Brett Fennelly of the Fennelly Insurance Group, tells us, hey, you can stack this. If you get on this train and say, well, this is a good start, but I need to do more, who should they talk to, Brett? Who, around the country, where do folks talk to get a little more education and maybe look at what their options are?
Well, I mean, if you're here in Michigan, you're more than welcome to give me a call. If you're not in Michigan, or the best person to call is whoever does your home and auto insurance already. So whoever does your home and auto insurance already can probably point you in the direction of if they don't sell life insurance, they probably know someone that they trust and they refer to. So I would always go with someone you trust, or someone that I assume you would trust your home and auto person now if they're doing your home and auto insurance. So someone you trust, or just go online and search. There's always places you can find that will you'll be able to tell it's by their reviews or by their history, who they are. I would always go. I'm kind of biased, I think, because I'm a smaller agent or smaller agency. Farm Bureau is not a very big company. It's big, but it's not. We're not across the nation. We're only in Michigan. So I always feel like if you go to your local, insurance agency, a place where you can walk in and talk to the agent, that person's going to be able to direct you where you need to go.
Well, I agree. It's always great to talk and get face-to-face with somebody, and trust is the most important element of that, because you really need their expertise to help you understand the right types of insurance, and as we've talked about, how to stack it, and maybe how to use some of your VA life insurance options. May be a good place to start, and you want somebody honest enough to tell you, hey, that's a good thing to do. Do that, and we'll work on building on it. Brett, thanks for spending some time here today with Veterans Radio to talk about the upcoming new program, VA Life, that starts at the end of the year, and just about insurance that veterans and their family members ought to be thinking about in general.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jim. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to maybe talking to you in the future.
You got it, Brett. Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody for listening to Veterans Radio today. I am Jim Fausone. It's been a pleasure to be your host. I'm a veterans disability lawyer at Legal Help for Veterans, and you can reach us at 800-693-4800 or legalhelpforveterans.com on the web. You can follow Veterans Radio on Facebook and listen to its podcasts and internet radio shows by going to veteransradio.net. And until next time, you are dismissed.
If you have a VA claim denied by the Board of Veterans' Appeals, contact Legal Help for Veterans at 1-800-693-4800. They're experts in handling cases before the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Their number again, 1-800-693-4800.
We again want to thank our national sponsors, the National Veterans Business Development Council, nvbdc.org, VA Ann Arbor Health Care System, the Vietnam Veterans of America Charles S. Kettles Chapter, Ann Arbor, Michigan, VFW Graf O'Hara Post 423 in Ann Arbor, and the American Legion Press Corn Post 46, also in Ann Arbor. And the Veterans Lending Council, which advises lenders, realtors, buyers about VA Home Loan Program, and you can find them on Facebook. We appreciate all your support. You can go to veteransradio.net, click on the sponsor level, and continue to support keeping Veterans Radio on the air. And until next time, you are dismissed.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.